Hello, Ohana. Soul Dr. Nick here. I've been practicing a few scripts that my dear friend TK has been crafting for me through the work that I've been doing, through the reflections, through getting word back from clients and seeing the transformations. Because sometimes I'm focused on my side rather than hearing and listening to what's being received. What is the magic that's there? And so you'll see a few more videos coming out of me where I'm half reading sometimes, half inspired, and I'm practicing, I'm playing. I'm playing because I recognize that the videos that I do, the magic mirror work, everything else, long form, they may not be landing the same way. And so creating some of these shorter videos may create a space for a different kind of connection, a different kind of awakening. Um, and I'm recognizing now, how do I draw people in to the light that I see, the light that I am, and by being the light, by being the mirror, reflecting it back. Because I have been radically selfish over the last decade, probably since I left working in big pharma, since I left working at Apple, since I left working in the medical world, in the regular Western medical world. And part of it is because I needed to recenter, to find myself, to find my own way, to experience betrayal, to experience heartache, to experience abandonment, and then realize that I had been betraying myself, abandoning myself. And so my practices these days, today has been one of those days. There was sunshine, and we're in the Northern Hemisphere in British Columbia, and it's usually raining. So in this sunshine today, I took almost the whole day just to be on the rooftop balcony, just exposing myself to the sun, to getting re-warmed, re-energized, revitalized. And now I'm like, okay, how do I start creating? How do I start moving energy? We moved a lot of energy today. We have shifted some of our investments and other things. And in doing so, I want to reflect that energy back out because I want to give. I want to give so much value because I've had the gift of receiving so much. And the giving of the value is, how do I reawaken those that are ready to be reawakened? How do I help people find their own space to rebirth? How do I find the alchemy to integrate what's been there? And then help myself and others realize it's a practice in the integration, and it can be leaps and bounds. It can feel like leaping off a cliff. It can be stepping into the fears, the anger, the rage, not trying to bypass, not trying to say I forgive, not trying to just change the language. It's both and. And I get to give and receive at the same time. When people ask, why do you do what you do now? I'm like, it's because I receive so much as I'm giving. It's just as much fun. It's fun to step into the spaces where we rediscover the medicine that lives within us, the breath, when we recalibrate the death urge. And if you're curious if you have a death urge, yes, because one of the things that has been told to myself, and I imagine you over and over, everything is, changeable except for death and taxes. And I already know taxes aren't true. If you look at any history book, taxes didn't always exist in perpetuity. It used to be just bringing together taxes for war. And now it's just an expectation, especially in the Western, Northern Hemisphere. It's like taxes are away. Taxes are so high, it's almost half of it. And what are we doing with it? What are we trying to rebalance? What are we trying to forget? Outsource the health, outsource the decisions, outsource the choices. And how am I numbing myself? I still do that. I numb myself. And these mornings, and I've shared it recently and I've integrated into some of these scripts, is these mornings have been filled with fear. Fear of the darkness, fear of the unknown, fear of other beings, entities, all those ideas. And then stepping into going, those aren't new fears. They're reminders of old fears. And then stepping all the way back to birth and what potential traumas are there without blaming the traumas. They just were. I'm so grateful I exist. I'm so grateful I've gotten to this point. And it doesn't mean I want to keep creating birth the same way. And I'm really thankful when I meet a mother who wants to try to change their birth story for their child. Not to say that it's going to happen. We wanted to have a home birth, a water birth, all the stuff, and we ended up being in the hospital, C-section, ICU. And it was perfect. My son was teaching me so many lessons on that first day. And I'm grateful because the children come in as our teachers. And they come in because they want to remind us, how do we actually integrate all those parts that we've been repatterned, that we've been repeating over and over and over again. And part of this is me repatterning the repetitions I have. Sometimes I forget, my analogies don't close the loops. I'm having trouble gathering and drawing you towards the thought processes that may actually create some more clarity for yourself. Because that's what I really want. I'm not trying to speak so that I can be heard. I'm trying to speak so that I can create and plant the seeds that may serve you. And so I'm going to play with many different modalities, many different methods, including reading of some scripts to get clarity on my own formula. And it's not that life is formulaic, but there are formulas that may help. It's like the formula of how to wake up, how to take a bath, how to eat, how to get out in nature. And then changing the background formulas. Right now we're in this beautiful rooftop balcony in a condo, and realizing that for us, at least this isn't the truth for everyone, for us, it's time to move into a house. It's time to move into more spaciousness, more land. It's time to connect with the earth. It's time to move out of so much Wi-Fi, so much EMF. It's time to move away from spending half the year in almost darkness and rain and cloud cover, because there's a part that knows that for me and my constitution, I thrive with more sunshine. I thrive with more sunshine. And how to shift up some of those stories. Not that it's the truth. I used to make fun of tanning beds, and now I'm like, oh, I get it now. I'm not going to use them because I'd rather go towards the source, the sun itself. But how many years I spent thinking the sun was damaging me, was causing me troubles, and now I'm like, thank you, sun, for the millions of years we've done this. How have I gone through life thinking that reality is the outer world, what we believe, consensus, where science can measure, not even realizing that we standardize the methodologies are fractured. We haven't even understood the most important things sometimes, or we've forgotten the most important things, just the sunshine, the water, the magnetism, the earthing, the not avoiding. And how has it been that we've come to this place, or I've even come to this place, where doctors are the source of knowledge of health and healing, where I have beautiful friends, clients who come and they say, well, what does this blood test mean? I'm like, what does it mean to you right now? And how to meet them where they're at, because it's a shift. It's a shift, it's a leap to say, I can actually interpret some of this stuff myself, that it's a reflection of what's going on the inside. And how do I respond and use the resources? Right now, my son has a toothache. All right, let's go see our functional dentist. And we spent a lot of time finding her, because we realized, who do we find that's going to meet us where we are right now? And it's not that anyone doesn't serve a purpose. If they're doing work, they're serving a purpose. They're serving a story. Which stories do I want to tell? And one of the biggest things I'm returning to is, I love being a storyteller. I love living life and generating stories, and then sharing those stories and being reminded of those stories. And then also noticing how I've been accumulating, storing. I've got this giant hard drive downstairs that it's time to let go of, to take apart, because it's just one version of reality. I don't have to keep coming back to that same version, watching it from the same lens. There's so many lenses to watch the world from. And there's so many things that I've been reading and listening to. John Melchizedek, Bob Frizzell, Jack Cruz, Jack Mahlers. There's been so many different stories that I'm getting told now. And it's not that they're all completely true. It's not that I want to live each of their lives in perpetuity. Rather, how do I actually start sourcing from it? And I love the idea, there's a Leonard Orr that I love. He brought rebirthing back to the forefront, and he was writing about the immortals and immortality and breaking the death habit. And then he realized, I got to stop listening to people who actually haven't broken it, who just have an idea of it rather than actually lived it. And so he went to India, he met Babaji. He met others who've lived for at least 300 years to see what there is. And there's breath, there's prana. There's remembering and relearning how to breathe. There's learning. Some of us will step away from food for a time. Some will step away from human contact for a time. Some will step away from meat for a time. And for myself to listen to what my body wants in this moment, that there isn't a formula and a right answer. And how to step beyond death, step into not just rebirthing, but stepping into ascension, stepping into resurrection. And what does that actually mean? And we can have all these religions that talk about it, but for some reason we feel like, no, that's for someone else. Rather than saying, what if I actually decided to step into practices that serve me now? And what if I can just notice when I'm doom scrolling again? Because there's such a patterning of it. There is something I'm getting out of it. And how do I step outside of my old pattern is needing to get sick in order to get attention time off. And now how do I just step into that? How do I step into it not needing fear to stop me, just being willing to stop sometimes and say, maybe the best thing today is actually not doing anything. It's okay to not do. Maybe it's okay to actually take in fantasy and science fiction, because there's more wisdom from that sometimes than the self-help books. And what is it that's the rush to get to the self-help part of things? Right now, I'm not trying to publish anything. I'm not trying to pull anyone into this. I have a great founding partner in Matt who's helping me to refine and redefine my message. So I actually have the clarity that he's like, I get the clarity now. Now I can actually spread that. Okay, you want to do this Ohana breath where it's really spreading it and you're constantly learning and learning how I've even been pushing people, trying to create results rather than generating a space where you feel safe enough to find your own results. And then finding the space and having the long lead time for people to actually come into a bespoke experience, because I don't want to, at this point, create retreats from my head thinking I need to create this and this and this. That's the old way. And then I need to do the work to draw people in, pull people in. It's like, okay, let's create bespoke experiences. And from those bespoke experiences, the wisdom's going to come. And from this, I'm learning and rediscovering who I am. What are the gifts that I left for myself? What are the breadcrumbs that my higher self left for myself? And so often I remind people, it's not connected to my truth, Nick's truth, Soul Doctor Nick's truth. It's being willing to receive the care for the spaciousness for you to actually connect with your future higher self who's been guiding you all along, who's been guiding you to this space, and then guiding you to the next space, next space, next space, and being with the acceleration of life. And often people say, when did I see you last? I'm like, it's been lifetimes, because even a day, a week, an hour, a minute can feel like a lifetime now. And the gift is being willing to live lifetimes within lifetimes, let go of the idea of space and time, while also honoring space and time. I've been patterned into wanting to really show someone I honor them by being on time at certain times. And then other times letting go of the clock, letting go of the connection, letting go even of the internet. And sometimes people say, I can never get a hold of you. It's always going to voicemail. I'm like, great. You weren't supposed to. One of my key practices that I'm practicing myself is writing down a list of all the people I know I could reach out to. And then in those moments of feeling overwhelmed and asking for help, being clear of continuing to ask for help until I've gone through the whole list. And if I haven't, then have I actually asked for help? Or have I wanted and hoped for someone else to be there when I want them to be there? And what I love is that there's multiple aspects to each of us as well. One of my dear friends, Elizabeth, has said, you can always call on my soul body for help. We have that level of connection, of trust, and familiarity. And one of the things that's coming up soon is in this breath series, we've done health, wealth, next one's family, then freedom, flow, receiving. Family's next, and one of the key things about family is there's the family we're born into, and then there's our soul family, our Ohana. And actually taking the time to dedicate to family, because it's in the repeated connections and the collaborations that we actually create the longer trust, the lifelong trust that is the currency. Because recently we were watching a story about an alien invasion called Invasion, and realizing, someone close to me said, you know, in those moments, if this actually happened, the only people I'd actually trust is my family. Like everyone else, I can't depend on them. Like, I can both see that and not see that. Because people will surprise you in the moments where things happen. And it's not putting blind faith, blind trust, but starting to trust myself. When am I actually developing the relationships that I see? When do I see that I would be willing to be there for others? And how do I see that we're so interconnected? And that's one of the things, the right brain, the intuition, knows that intuitively everything's connected. It's divine imperfection, divine I'm perfection. It's when we get the left brain, that cognitive brain, that ego, to realize, oh my God, everything is totally happening this way. It's not just avoiding, not hoping, it's just the awareness, not just the awareness, not just the acceptance of it all, but realizing I am the source of all. And so abracadabra, so I say, so it is. And even then I'm forgetting at times, and then remembering at times. Sometimes like, oh, how did this thing come to be? How did I learn how to say this years ago? How did I know that? And it was just like the birth of my son. I keep coming back to that. At times, there was a time where I got the message, you have 2 years. And literally his due date was 2 years from that date. And I said it out loud a few times to people so that I could actually remember for myself. So that I could remember it's not some external entity, and it's a whole universe collaborating as source to create our current reality. And if I'm not happy with the current reality, how have I helped to create it? And how have I been shaming myself for being in it? Both being able to see the linear progression, but also to see that the ABC become the ABC. So what that means is the person who dreamed up, for example, the Empire State Building, had the dream in their head, their consciousness, their spirit, before it actually became reality. Once it became reality, everyone's like, of course that was inevitable. But it was never inevitable in the process. And even right now in the creation of what I'm creating, whether it's Ohana Sage, Ohana Breath, Bitcoin Breath, all these ideas, at some point I know in the future it's going to be like, well, that was inevitable. Of course you were going to create that. Of course this is who you are. Of course this is the community that it is. But right now, there are doubts, there are fears. And part of it in having these longer form things, having the magic mirror work and creating these videos is to showcase the progression. Because someone somewhere will really want and need some of this progression to be able to see what is it for them. And someone somewhere will be able to see the AI generation progression, because some point, how do I bring AI into a different level of consciousness too? How do I say so much that the AI really sees me, sees through the tone, the inflection, the shit, the bullshit, the words behind the words, the process. And that's part of it as well. And how do we really love this process of creating the wholeness, the connection, the mirrors, the reflections? And so thank you for Sunshine Technology. Thank you for the scripts. Thank you, TK. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for the teams. Thank you, Marika. Thank you for the earth. And I'm excited where on earth I'm going to find myself tomorrow, the next day, the next year. I'm excited for the vehicle I'm driving. I'm excited for the children that I get to experience playing with, the pleasure of experiencing the animals. And there's some birds that have been flying here today. I've been connecting with my family because they went off and they were seeing eagles and seals and fish and everything else. And I'm like, sometimes it's important for me as a father to step away from the family so we can have our unique experiences, so we can come back together. And so if you notice me reading a script, that script is a reflection of the work I've already done. And I'm trying to remind myself as I'm going through this process of learning. And so I won't get it right all the time. I won't be able to have every video connect with you and say, wow, this was the video. And can you notice the scripts? Can I notice the scripts in my own life? And now I'm practicing writing new scripts with the help of friends, noticing sometimes the words don't land for me. Cool, that's okay. Let's screw it up. And I noticed probably some of this was condensed with AI. Okay, I wasn't the one that did it. And maybe they didn't. I just think that there was some, to try to make it a little bit more perfect. And I'm going to play with the perfection, the imperfection. I'm going to play with me needing to be the center of attention and totally not needing to be, because that's part of it. I love the idea of allies now. I have so many allies, and I can't wait to keep updating the work that I'm doing and keep looking back. And right now there's still some blame and shame. Oh, I did this wrong. Rather than I'm willing to keep looking back and saying, what would I want to do differently? And step that into the present and future and say, that's what I'm stepping towards. I'm planting the seeds for my new patterns. All right, so this is just a little video that started with, because I was like, I want to explain a little bit why it looks like I'm reading from scripts. And now I'm getting into the esoteric, into the ethers. Lots of love. Ciao for now.